Action, romance, drama, thriller, mystery, romance, thriller. There's so many types and genres of movies out there that it can be hard to narrow down what you would say is your favorite. My favorite type of movie is one that you go back to and are left confused why everyone hated it in the first place. Something that was criticized online and in person when it released, only for you to realize it's like one of your favorite movies ever. Hi, this is Thin Patty, and I'm here to tell you you are all wrong about Ridley Scott's bold, risky, confusing, ill-advised, amazing alien prequel film, Prometheus.
King has his reign.
To briefly recap, the Alien franchise is something I hold really close to my heart. I'm a newbie when it comes to the series, but I absolutely adore it. The original Alien is one of my favorite films of all time. I was lucky enough to see it in theaters, and boy, was it something else.
This is something else.
I find myself finding more and more to love about this original film from Ridley Scott each time I watch it. It's just so perfect. Everything from the look of the film, the direction, the action, the music, the acting, the design. It's just something I would call a canon film. It feels like it was meant to be the way it is.
Dallas? No.
Dallas?
And that is Dallas.
Aliens is much more of a mixed bag for me, one filled with candy and sugar and chocolate, but also like rotten fruit. I don't know, I'm definitely in the minority of people who don't prefer this one to the original or even love this one. It just fell flat when I watched it for the first time, and I've really struggled to find enough interest in going back and exploring it.
Game over, man. It's game over.
I think action-wise it's really good, I think acting-wise it's really good, but I can't help but feeling James Cameron did some irreparable damage to the Alien franchise. As someone who loved the slow burn slasher horror flick that the original Alien was, turning the series into a kind of schlocky action colonial marines type of thing, I don't know, it just doesn't make sense for me, and it's not something I'm all that into. Moving on to Alien 3, David Fincher's directorial debut is full of the stuff that would make him a household name. It's just not exactly perfected here. Alien 3 is really moody and dark and disgusting and gross, and it's not a movie that I particularly enjoyed to have in front of me. Alien 3 felt like it was taking the franchise back to its roots a little bit, but maybe stripping it down a little bit too much. Alien 3 is messy for sure, and it's got a lot of interesting choices that I don't think David Fincher would make, or the studio would make if they made the film today.
Fox is the #1 studio in the country because they're all such a bunch of morons.
But I enjoy it quite a bit for the movie it is, and I appreciate what they were trying to do with it. Alien Resurrection is, well, resurrection.
Hello?
I actually dig this one quite a bit too. I think it's a fun, weird, truly weird movie. It's not like your boring weird, like Saltburn or something. This is a weird movie lover's movie. Of course, it's still part of the Alien franchise, so it's not going to be that wacky, but this is a weird blockbuster.
One-on-one, what do you say?
No, if you don't want to play basketball, I know some other indoor sports.
Part satire, part comedy, part, I don't know what you want to call it. Alien Resurrection is a bizarre little French film that manages to be quite powerful emotionally, narratively, despite how absurd it is. Much like Ripley herself at the end of Aliens, the franchise would be put on ice for quite a while until someone decided to come and pick it back up. Following the lukewarm reception of Alien Resurrection,
You don't want to play basketball.
it seemed like the franchise was done for, aside from crossovers and spin-offs. However, I don't think anyone would have or could have predicted what Ridley Scott would do when he finally returned to the franchise. Prometheus feels very contemporary despite it dating back almost 3 decades now. Ridley Scott and James Cameron had developed ideas for a potential prequel to the original Alien a long time ago, near the release of Alien Resurrection. However, in 2002, focus shifted on branching and expanding the Alien franchise into interesting directions. There's a reason I didn't mention Alien vs. Predator in my little recap at the beginning of the video. This elusive, mysterious prequel film idea would not get picked up again until 2009 when Ridley Scott finally decided to return to the franchise. Damon Lindelof was brought in to write this prequel, the movie we now call Prometheus. And depending on how you feel about Lost, you either like this guy or you despise him. After putting pen to paper and finding people to give them money, Ridley Scott and his team finally started production on Prometheus. With a budget of $130 million, Prometheus was set to be the most expensive and ambitious Alien movie yet. I remember commercials coming out for this movie back then, even though I was 1 year old. I don't know how old I was, but this was a big deal. Not only because it was the first Alien movie to come out in a long time. This was just a big, epic sci-fi action adventure film from Ridley Scott, someone who has proven himself time and time again. The marketing behind this movie was massive, just like its budget, and excitement was palpable. It had been well over a decade since audiences last saw a mainline Alien film hit theaters, so this was always going to be a big deal, but Prometheus felt different. There was something in the air about this movie that felt much bigger than its other contemporary blockbusters. The original Alien film had a mixed cast. You had some recognizable faces and you had some no-names. Sigourney Weaver was a member of the latter category. This was one of her first big breakout roles. And she's great in the movie, but when you watch it, you really don't know that she's going to be the main character. Prometheus is a much different story. And this film features a beefy cast of some of our finest working actors back then and today. Everyone sings the praises of Michael Fassbender's David, the android who is kind of part antagonist, part protagonist, but he's accompanied by some other really great members here. Benedict Wong, Logan Marshall Green, Noomi Rapace, Idris Elba, and a really old Guy Pearce. Performances range from excellent to... but everyone is really fun to watch here. Prometheus had a stacked cast, an enormous budget, and the backing of fans and general pop culture. So what went wrong? Prometheus came out right when I was becoming hyper in tune with internet review culture and just online, the internet in general. I missed the boat growing up on the Plinkett reviews and that kind of stuff, but I was very much interested in seeing what people had to say about movies outside of professional critics. I wanted to watch what people were saying, real people. High school me was, getting out of that baby's first film phase. I was done with your Forrest Gumps and what have you. I wanted more. I wanted something that was different and fresh and original. And I think it's ironic to say that about a prequel film to the Alien franchise, but it did feel fresh and it felt original and interesting. Even though I wouldn't end up watching Prometheus until like a decade after it came out, little me was hyped. I vividly remember watching videos trashing this film when it came out. Shots at its characters, at its pacing, at its plot. Every aspect of this movie was torn apart online. People hated its mystery box fueled plot and its nonsensical storytelling and its rather dumb character moments. Everything wrong with had a field day with Prometheus.
It's not a aliens movie without a basketball court on the ship.
You don't want to play basketball.
And despite receiving generally positive reviews, it seemed like the internet and pop culture as a whole had already made up its mind about this movie. I believe that Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull was the first true crack in online film culture that we saw. Something that would be completely shattered with Rian Johnson's The Last Jedi in 2017, but Prometheus did serious damage to this too. The film became this flashpoint event, something people still like to make fun of to this day. It's confusing, it doesn't make any sense, it's pretentious, it's full of itself, it doesn't know what it wants to be. These are all things that you hear about Prometheus.
That I actually did like, and overall the experience was really cool having been in it. There was also a lot of dumb stuff in it though.
But a lot of this seems unwarranted. Is Prometheus silly? Yes. Is it full of itself? Yes. Does it make a lot of sense? No. Is Prometheus still a creative masterpiece? Probably. Prometheus follows a crew on a mission to answer the burning question inside all of us. Who are we and where did we come from? The Prometheus crew are literally seeking out their creator. A series of cave paintings point them toward the central location, one that they believe holds the key to the secret that unlocks, the meaning of life. They embark on a dangerous and lengthy mission to uncover the clues to humanity. They don't know it yet, but our crew is about to make the greatest discovery in the history of civilization. But things aren't so simple. I mean, this is an alien movie. Prometheus isn't a tale about self-discovery or the grandeur of humanity. In fact, I believe it's the exact opposite. Tracing back our roots and finding who we are and why we were created is the goal of the Prometheus crew, but there's something chilling, something really dark and disturbing at the center of this movie. A question that is asked of our characters in Prometheus as well as the audience. What if you found God and he hated you? Ridley Scott and Lindelof pen a wild and messy and bizarre script, one with so many, maybe too many plot points. It's overstuffed and there's just so much happening. Themes and narratives are flying out and being swapped around. But Prometheus' ultimate goal is to highlight the foil of every single living and dead human on Earth. Their hubris. Scientists can have as much research and funding behind them as they want, but what if they don't get the answer they want? What if the God they seek wants them dead? This, not flashy lights, not amazing special effects, not great performances, not callbacks to xenomorphs or facehuggers. This is the true heart of Prometheus. Prometheus opens up with a cryptic scene of a chiseled hunk of an alien taking a sip of rather rancid-looking black soup. The soup does turn out to be somewhat off, and our handsome Squidward man literally disintegrates and falls into the ocean or river or whatever this is. This is supposed to be the creation of humanity itself, at least on Earth, though this isn't really explained in the movie. Our characters eventually find a signal that traces back to these primordial beings, something scientists call engineers. Our main crew travels thousands and thousands and billions of miles to find what they are looking for. However, not everything is as it seems. When the Prometheus crew actually do make contact with these engineers, they are attacked. It's clear these engineers either messed up or changed their mind along the way and they want to rid the world of humanity. It's clear why people, specifically alien fans, do not like Prometheus. It over-explains the mystery behind the original film, the ship, the space jockey, the origins of the xenomorph. It also introduces the black goo, something that added to the franchise in a really confusing and frustrating way. What does the black goo do? Why is it black? What does it taste like? Nobody knows. But when viewed in a vacuum, something that's not a continuation of a billion-dollar franchise, just a film on its own, Prometheus splits open like a coconut, revealing the inner thoughts of Ridley Scott himself. There's just so much of the revered English filmmaker in this movie. Watching Prometheus is like looking directly into Ridley Scott's brain. Prometheus really feels most similar to a little movie called Star Wars: The Phantom Menace.
In the end, this is set.
Yeah, we've got one little piece of wall. Yes. Oh,
Yeah.
2 pieces of wall maybe. Yes.
And then this is you guys.
Mm-hmm.
And this is real.
I've gone on record calling the first Star Wars prequel film the most interesting movie ever made, something I very much still believe. But Prometheus isn't far behind. Here you have an old filmmaker, not really past their prime, but at the very least past their most legendary works, i.e. the original Alien and original Star Wars, returning to the franchise that made their career in the first place. I could talk for hours about The Phantom Menace, how it's kind of an impossible film, one that is simultaneously one of the most cynical things ever created, but also still very much full of heart and full of unbridled creativity.
Tell them to take off!
As a kid, it was never my favorite Star Wars film, but I liked them all, and the prequels didn't feel that different than the original trilogy. Watching it again today as a grown man, The Phantom Menace's problems really do shine through the glorious late 1990s CGI, much brighter than when I was little, though so does its charm. Narratively, it's a mess. Character-wise, it leaves a lot to be desired. Visually, it's near perfect. George Lucas didn't set out to recapture the magic of the original trilogy. No, he wanted to take Star Wars in a new direction going forward. Or rather backward. Were all his instincts good? No. But The Phantom Menace is a film ripped straight from the mind of the guy who invented Star Wars. It's worth at least a little bit of your time. The same is true for Prometheus, though I believe the prequel to the Alien franchise succeeds far more than The Phantom Menace. Firstly, Prometheus is gorgeous. Put bluntly, Prometheus is one of the best looking movies I have ever seen. Not to say that The Phantom Menace isn't visually stunning, because it is, and I'm tired of people pretending like it's some ancient dinosaur with awful effects. A majority of the film really does still look good. Just like video games, whether or not a movie looks good comes down to its art direction a lot more than its actual technology. I'm a huge believer in CGI, and there is some great computer-generated imagery in Prometheus. But most of Prometheus's sets are real and big, and boy do they look fantastic. It's remarkable how real and believable the movie feels despite its ludicrous plot and technology. Like the recent Dune adaptation, Scott makes the world of Prometheus totally believable and viable. Everything from the spaceships our crew flies in to their space suits that they stupidly take off feel real, and not just real but lived in. The things that they use feel like stuff you could go and buy at a store. This feels like a world that has existed long before the title card shows up, and one that will go on long after the credits stop rolling. Prometheus's big budget and big ambition is on the screen at all times, whether it's the ridiculously detailed interior of the ship itself or the gorgeous outdoor shots of Iceland. Prometheus is a visual treat, and it's not just the best looking alien film, it's a benchmark for cinema as a whole. Wait, stop. I thought you said people don't like this movie, and it was dumb, and it was bad, and it was stupid, and it ruined the Alien franchise. So far, Prometheus sounds great. Yeah, most people agree Prometheus is a visual treat, but narratively it has more in common with spaghetti than a nice steak. Put simply, Prometheus is all over the place. One of the biggest issues people have with this film is that characters make really stupid decisions. I agree, people are pretty dumb in this movie. From trying to pet an alien cobra to taking off your helmet on an uncharted planet, these scientists are quite careless. Are these things that actually take away from the film? So what if people are stupid in a movie? Maybe they're just stupid. Have we ever considered that the process of filmmaking isn't an accident and requires an immense amount of concentrated effort on hundreds, thousands of people's parts? This is something that really kills me about modern film critique, the assumption that filmmakers don't really know what they've made. Say what you want about Spider-Man 3, but it's silly to think Tobey Maguire and Sam Raimi weren't aware of how goofy it was when Peter Parker danced on the side of the street with bangs. That was the point. They're in on the joke, guys. The same is true for Prometheus. Ridley Scott is in on the joke. He knows these characters have extreme tunnel vision and are incredibly arrogant. They get knocked down a peg, quite literally, as the film progresses, proving that no matter how much science you throw at Mother Nature, she is ready and willing to exploit your mistakes.
You're strong. Maybe you should help me now, okay?
The argument that Prometheus doesn't have a good narrative is a little bit stronger, but still not something I agree with. Prometheus is more of a shotgun than a sniper rifle in this department. Ridley Scott is touching on a ton of topics all at once, but it's still a carefully crafted experience. Motherhood, the origins of humanity, religion. Prometheus is a story about people looking for answers to questions probably better left unanswered. Like I said, you can do all the research in the world, but what do you do if the god you find hates you? This is the central question at the heart of Prometheus, though it's not exclusive to our human characters. David, the android played by Michael Fassbender, is on the same quest for knowledge, though he is much more thoughtful and respectful of Mother Nature and the world that he lives in. Just like our humans, David longs to know why he was created and what his purpose is, but he himself faces persecution. There's a great scene between David and Charlie, Logan Marshall Green's character, where the two are talking about their mission. Creation gets brought up, and David asks Charlie why he thinks he was created in the first place. Charlie simply responds,
"We made you because we could." Can you imagine how disappointing it would be for you to hear the same thing from your creator?
This short little moment is what unlocks Prometheus completely. This is the same exact answer our human characters get when they finally do wake up that engineer. The thought that your creator doesn't like you and that you have no true purpose is horrifying, and it's something both David the android and the rest of the Prometheus crew is forced to accept during the film, each taking the news in their own special way. Of course, a discussion about an alien film would not be complete without bringing up the gore and the action sequences, something Prometheus excels at. Prometheus features some truly gnarly set pieces, with the medical pod birth scene being one of the best in the entire franchise. Shaw, played by Noomi Rapace, finds herself impregnated with the black goo, and before you know it, it's baby time. But Shaw doesn't really want to have a baby right now. Now is not a good time. So she heads to the conveniently placed and previously mentioned medical pod for a quick cesarean. This scene is brutal and disgusting. It's the definition of eye-squinting, nail-biting fun. The Alien franchise is infamous for its collection of birthing scenes, but I think Prometheus takes the cake for most visceral and gross. This scene kicks everything into high gear, marking the arrival of Prometheus's third act, much like an actual birth, with screams, pain, and lots of blood. But going back to the midpoint of the film, the scene where the two scientists meet their end in that cave spaceship thing is really well done too. I don't really care if the guy was stupid for trying to pet that snake. I wanted to watch him pet that snake. I think people forget that movies aren't supposed to be a representation of real life. If they were, why would we watch them? I'm not trying to say that these scientists act in a rational manner, but why do we assume that they're going to? In the beginning of the film, it seems like a lot of this crew are only interested in the money. They do not care whether or not we meet our creators, only that they become rich and famous because of this expedition. These two characters specifically are not supposed to be like Matt Damon in another Ridley Scott film like The Martian. They're more like a cosmic horror take on Hansel and Gretel. We know they're going to die. Why not make it entertaining when they do? The remaining final 30 minutes of Prometheus are an incredible feat in blockbuster filmmaking. I do think things speed up a little bit too quickly here. The pacing feels off, but Prometheus' final act is a breathtaking one nonetheless. Fights, explosions, discussions about the meaning of life. Prometheus has it all, and it's really refreshing to not have the main character fight to the death with the big bad guy here. That engineer that we saw back in the middle of the film, one that is chasing Shaw, kind of gets sidetracked by this facehugger type beast. This is the creature that Shaw evacuated from her body just a few dozen minutes ago. The scene between the engineer and this facehugger starfish thing is so creepy and disgusting. We watch this massive alien thing suck up the engineer just like the original facehugger does with Kane and Alien, only on a much larger, more detailed scale. Shaw and David manage to make their way to an escaped ship and fly off, still on a mission to explain the meaning of life. Unfortunately, Prometheus' actual final scene is kind of underwhelming. You see, that engineer didn't just die or go somewhere off screen. We actually follow up with him, and he himself is about to give birth. This chiseled white guy explodes, and a new alien pops out. It looks like a xenomorph. It sounds like one, and it's born like one, but it's not a xenomorph. At least, I don't think it is. The life cycle of this creature is hard to wrap your head around. So we have a human male impregnating a female. So we have a man impregnating a woman with black goo, which causes a new squid-like thing to be born. This squid creature then attaches to an engineer, the race responsible for creating humans in the first place. The end result is an altered version of the xenomorph. It's a cool scene, but not one that I think needed to be tacked on to Prometheus, a film that feels connected to Alien but also detached. Regardless of how long I or anyone else talk about Prometheus, I think it's the kind of film you either get or you don't. I'm not saying if you don't like this movie you're stupid or you're wrong. I actually think that Prometheus is a very blunt and dumb movie.
You don't want to play basketball.
But this isn't a negative. If you go in looking for character inconsistencies and plot holes, Prometheus falls apart, absolutely. But if you go in wanting to see a wild, creative, bold vision unfold before your eyes, well, you might still be disappointed. I don't know, Prometheus seems like a movie that either hits or it doesn't. I liked it quite a bit on the first time I watched it, and the second time made me love it even more. I'm just really inspired by big, messy passion projects. After all, what is the point of art if not to express the person behind it? Why would I want to go see a movie with my own expectations in mind and then get mad when the movie doesn't meet them? This is why I'm much more interested in movies like Megalopolis, even though I can admit that it's really weird and it's awkward.
So go back to the club.
But I'd much rather have it than a Call of Duty or Skibbity Toilet movie. Make a compelling and entertaining film and I will always be there. So Prometheus, good or bad? Obviously, I think it's an amazing film, one that continues to become more and more interesting and fascinating the more I watch and think about it. Is it perfect? No. Is it the smartest movie ever made? Definitely not. Is it an exciting, profoundly creative project filled with passion, heart, and creativity? Absolutely. What did we really learn here? Always let Ridley Scott cook. I'm super disappointed the David trilogy hasn't and likely will never be completed. I honestly think Scott is the key to this franchise, and his absence is sorely felt throughout each film he is not attached to. I'll always be eager to see where the Alien franchise goes, but I'll also always be a little bit disappointed and concerned if Scott isn't involved. But at the end of the day, I'm just trying to watch good movies, and Prometheus is really good.